Hi, everybody, and welcome to episode 55 of the Discussion 5. Woo! How much fun was that to say? We are the Brothers of Discussion, here to talk to you the 5 most pressing matters of the Detroit Red Wings. Used to be every Monday and Thursday morning, but we all know what situation we're in. So,
COVID.
Just Mondays. Yeah! Woohoo! You can find me at ClinkMan on Twitter. That's my brother at Michael_Clink. You can find the whole show at BOD Hockey. Now, if you want to find out why we are the Brothers of Discussion, head on over to BODpodcast.com, brothersofdiscussion.com, where we talk mostly about pro wrestling. And you can find our social media accounts at BOD Podcast on Twitter, brothers_of_discussion on Instagram. If you're watching us on IGTV right now, you know that we're doing both the Red Wing podcast and the Pro Wrestling podcast down there. We're also on Facebook and Twitter, or I'm sorry, I said Twitter. Yes, we have Facebook and the live wrestling discussion group on Facebook, which is, we're getting a lot of good participation. So if you are a pro wrestling fan, go ahead and check that out. Now, mainly hockey fan, go to the Hockey Podcast Network. Every team, everywhere, we mentioned it at the top of the show. But just a couple more ditties here. Remember, there's Tales with TR podcast about Terry Ryan, former Montreal Canadiens first-round draft pick. We have Ice Analytics podcast coming to you every Friday, and the House of Hockey podcast every Tuesday, hosted by Breezy and Ray Ray. And last night, Mike, our fearless leaders at the Hockey Podcast Network went and did a live show called After Hours. So I'm going to give a quick plug to that because you got to be following us on social media to see that one. That was a cute show. I think I'm a little concerned because I signed out and then I signed back in, and then I heard them talking about someone leaving the live show, and obviously they know my name, so there were only a few people watching, so it'd be hard to miss the fact that one of their hosts was watching the show, so I was worried that they were going to
That's like a community college class when there's like 5 people in it and one of them leaves.
Mm-hmm. Well, today,
I can't help it if I took creative writing 609 and there's only 5 of us in here who wanted to read about poems. All right, come on. All right, sorry, man. Go ahead.
No, you're fine.
I wrote some dance soup poetry. I wanted you guys to hear it. Go ahead.
We're going to continue our series of going.
It was called From Russia with Love.
We're going to continue our series of going through NHL drafts, and today's 1999, and we're also going to touch on a few different pieces of news, I guess, for pro sports in general, and the NHL specifically of what's going to happen heading into the summer and the fall. And we have discussed it before, but it just kind of seems like now is another good time to start talking about it since the government's getting involved, and they're trying to figure out how a neutral site playoff is going to work. Mike, I decided to take a quick look online to see what else is going on in the world. So for our first topic today, we've got...
There's more than hockey and wrestling?
Yeah.
I'm confused.
All
right, what'd you find, man? What's going on out there?
They're trying to get their football going. Let me give you once while I'm doing this. I'm going to turn you up because there we go. All right. I should be able to hear you better now. Germany's getting ready to go in May. And what they're doing is the focus here is on all their advertising and promotions. So that's why they're starting to get ready to go. But they are doing no fans and a limited production crew. So, I mean, if anything, where we're saying the NHL could probably take a note from Germany and their soccer league, it sounds like Germany's taking notes from the WWE. But we don't want to get into too much pro wrestling. I did want to mention one quick thing that Germany is doing I thought was pretty cute, is they are going to be selling seats in this empty stadium to a cutout of yourself that you can send over to them. You send them a picture, and then you get to be one of the few cutouts that attends these German soccer games. Kind of insane. I would never waste my money, but I assume there are folks right now. That's what the article I read from, what's that website? WTOP.com, which is WTOP News. They were actually reporting on the folks that had sent in their cutouts. So that it sounds like fun. It's fun for them. I mean, it is a complete, like, I think we've talked before, Mike, maybe not even on this show, but like Japanese pro wrestling fans kind of sit on their hands. Then there's the American pro wrestling fans that we go nuts for our pro wrestling. But then when you're talking like pro sports, there's going to a hockey game here in Detroit and watching the Red Wings. And it's pretty docile, right?
Except when it's, woo, Ric Flair time.
I went to a soccer game in Germany, Mike. Yeah. It is nonstop fuckery. It is just insane singing the whole time, dancing, and I was watching, Mike, the worst German soccer team I was watching the worst soccer team in Europe.
So you're watching the 1999 Atlanta Thrashers of soccer. Okay,
and
gotcha.
The stadium was filled to capacity, and it was absolutely nuts. You couldn't even walk around and grab a pretzel or a brat because it was just so busy. Like, there were more people. It was so weird to walk around to grab concessions and know that every seat was filled in the stadium, and you also couldn't move to grab concessions. So it's like, how are these people in here right now? Where did they come from?
I think we're over capacity.
Yeah,
do we have a bouncer at this place? Do you need a ticket?
They're just selling, like, I'm in the stadium tickets. So the love for that is I think
that's got to be unprecedented, because I know there's, like, you sell at the arena. There's standing room only, but there's hot dog line only when you go to Germany. Or I guess Bratwurst line only tickets. I couldn't see the game, but I could hear the game, and I got a Bratwurst. It was great. I've knocked over some American tourist who was wide-eyed and didn't understand why I was buying a hot dog only ticket. I think that's great, Matt. One of my favorite things is to try and catch you with no preparation. So you get to buy a ticket to these games. You get to put a cardboard cutout of yourself. Now, are you allowed to just choose a person? Like, could you pick a celebrity cutout to, like, be you at the game?
Sure.
Because then my next question becomes, Matt, no preparation.
Oh, good.
Here.
I'm glad there was another question.
If you could pick one person to be your cardboard cutout standout, who would it be?
Who would I pick? I would pick Henry Cavill as Geralt from The Witcher, but in a hot tub.
Ooh, yeah, his little bare feetsies kicking out.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. Gosh, I would have to say
or Donald Duck.
You really top shelved it with that one. I'm gonna go as we had Huey, Dewey, and Louie, so I'm gonna do Danny Putty as one of the Ducks. I just want him in attendance there. I think that would be pretty cool. Yes, I am watching Community on Netflix. Yes, that's why I'm watching all of Danny Putty. And he made an appearance because I got my Disney Plus too. He's on The Winter Soldier. He gets a couple lines. Pretty cool.
I can tell you, everybody, that now every night when I'm playing video games with Mike, that's all he wants to talk about is Community. I will just say, so the world knows, I've been going through Seinfeld, and I know to just stop, because every time I try to bring up the episode I'm watching, that gets completely trashed. But we allow Mike to talk about Community, and he gets through it. How is this your first time going through Community?
No, I watched it when it was first airing, but I don't think I appreciated it as much. And now I'm realizing, this was an excellent show, and I don't know how long they keep the excellence up. I'm about halfway through season 2. We just saw the stop motion Christmas special.
Yeah.
And then the gigantic bed forts going all the way through the college campus. But I'm happy right now. I'm happy with my decision, and I'm willing to stop if it starts to fall down a little bit.
Let's do what did we call it? A line change. I want you to rank real quick because there was a time on NBC. There was a couple years strung together where on Thursday nights you would be watching The Office, Parks and Rec, Community, and 30 Rock. I would say arguably in our lifetime for the best sitcoms ever, right? And now that you're going through Community and you have a brand new appreciation, I want you to go ahead and rank them. Give us go 4, 3, 2, 1.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Or we could do the. I'm
going to say Parks and Rec 4.
Underrated. Okay.
Parks and Rec 4, and I love that show, but I don't know. It's one of those. I think the first season can kind of bring it down. 3, I think is no. I'm going to say Community 4 because I didn't even finish it the first time. 3, Parks and Rec. 2, 30 Rock. Number 1, The Office, because I've rewatched The Office in its entirety probably 4 or 5 times, and that's saying a lot. That means you've watched the whole series. I even made it through seasons 8 and 9 with no Michael. And then 30 Rock, I think, is just from episode to episode, moment to moment, like moment 1 to moment 22, has the most jokes. And then Community, I'm putting that at 4 because I don't know, it kind of lost me a few times. Even watching this season 2, there's a few episodes where I'm like, do I really need to watch all these? And then we got to like some magical moment episodes where they just kind of went off the rails, and it wasn't like a structured TV show at all. As much as Abed's character might say it was like this is a bottle episode, where they keep everybody in one room where they try to figure out who stole Annie's pen.
Yeah.
It's those episodes where they just they didn't worry so much about like romantic interests. I think that's why I'm going to put that one at number 4. And then Parks and Rec, I liked a lot, but it didn't quite hit its groove until about halfway through season 2, and then it was really good. So
I think for shows that actually ended when they were supposed to, 30 Rock might be the only one that gets that. But Parks and Rec did a good job finishing up, and then it's just Community is such a clusterfuck at the last couple seasons, and we've talked to super fans, who I'm talking about, that still say, no, it's still pretty good, and then my wife and I will look at each other and go, okay, sure it is. the last season especially, oh boy, you're in for a doozy. Yeah.
Inspiring stuff over there to make me want to finish it. I'm happy where I'm at right now, though.
I don't actually think I've watched the last season, but anyway, let's jump back into where we were, right? Mike, what is a good neutral site? Because I actually do have an answer for this question for the NHL to come back.
I don't have like a city or anything like that planned. I think that this is a good idea. If they're gonna borrow ideas from like WWE, which is an essential business,
in Florida,
and a little bit like what AEW is trying to mimic with WWE. Small. I don't know if that means they have to do like a local hockey rink, which I think would make it even more fun. But
I'd be concerned about the angles, because you don't want to do this, make sure it's on TV, but then you're in a local hockey rink, so you can't get good angles on the game. So that would be my first concern with going local. I think
you could still find a way to get, some decent stuff. And I know you're somebody who likes to push, like creativity, especially in this time. This is the time to do it. This is the time to do it. This is the time to get creative.
But that's
I think
just
to have like
a
small self-contained, like a local arena that only would even sit like, I don't know, 300 people, 500 people, like a indie concert. And then you could really learn who these players are, because we've talked about it ad nauseum for the NHL. We got to market these people, because that's why you're, maybe the 4th, maybe the 5th major sport in the United States. Because we don't know these guys, nobody roots for them. So,
well, one of the things that I saw was that they were talking about doing Las Vegas, which I think is so stupid.
So there's my idea, and then Las Vegas. So I
Right.
would not do it in Las Vegas.
They're going to one of the hubs of this disease. Like that was I'm pretty sure they're in like
That
the
is
top
literally
10.
just people from all over the world traveling in.
Yeah.
That's
Super
not
stupid.
locals. Yeah, that's the
I-
worst. That's the worst possible place.
So my answer to this question
They
was
might
going
as
to
well
go.
hold it at like JFK Airport in New York, because that would be the equivalent.
My answer to this question was going to go to Max Brooks, who is Al Brooks' son, who wrote the World War Z. I think that they should just go to Canada, go north, go. I mean, you could go, like you said, go
find
to a local
frozen
arena.
lake. Find a frozen lake
you
in
could
Canada.
do that. Go
Let's
somewhere
find one
where
in
there's
like
no people.
Quebec or something. Let's go to Quebec. Let's get them back in the map.
Yeah, let's go somewhere where there's no folks. I know they want to, like they're talking about. There's a spider on my foot. I know they were talking about doing Vegas because they still want to keep that relationship up and they want to keep building the fan base, but I don't think that's worth it. Like, if you're going to come back, put it in an area that we know will be secluded. So there won't be as big a worry of getting infected just by, there's still got to be somebody to open up the arena that lives locally. So you can't do it all with, it can't be completely controlled. So yeah, that was my play. I think we should treat this like the zombie apocalypse and go as secluded as possible, just to keep these guys as safe as possible.
Yeah.
And we're also talking by next fall 1/3 capacity games, which when we talk about going to the restroom and concessions, I kind of like the idea of there being less people to wait in line with. But
it's going to put a premium on prices, though. I mean, those owners are still going to want to make money by people attending the games, and that's for me. That's such a like, if you're a season ticket holder and you're kind of just sitting there grinding your molars, like, man, where did my money go? That's one perspective, but just for me as a casual fan, that's such a like distant thought for me. I just would prefer to have these guys not worry about even 8,000 people in attendance and having to make sure everybody's clean and wearing masks. I would rather have it in a small arena, maybe even for, I don't know, half the season for a year, some empty arena hockey games. Like attendance is so far down the priority list for me. I'm worried. Selfishly, all we're doing is we want our entertainment. We don't care about the health of these guys. Get them on the ice so we can watch hockey. If that's the case, and they really want to play this summer, which is kind of what looked like Bettman was alluding to in some interviews this week, empty arenas. I don't know.
Well,
do you really think it makes a difference to do a third of the attendance, or get it to the point where we feel safe to have a full stadium?
Do I think it makes,
like, are we going to incrementally keep going? Like, revenue? let's start with a sixth full, and then we'll go to a third, and then maybe 2/3.
I think it's this idea. So you've got these assholes in Lansing, right, that show up with their automatic weapons. They're in tow. They're standing there at the Capitol building, and they're demanding that they can buy seed for their grass, so that they can do their bullshit landscaping jobs. That I mean, instead of safety, they're going to take guns up to the Capitol building, right? So I think part of this is like, let's find a solution where people can start to go outside and live again, because it's not just 1/3 capacity at arenas. Like, this conversation isn't like, what's your preference? It's more about that they're talking about them doing this and what's life going to look like. But they're also talking about doing this in restaurants. So you have to get rid of your tables. You have to have them further apart. Every restaurant right now has a capacity. So the law will just change that whatever your capacity was before Corona will now be cut in half or cut into a third kind of thing. So I know both of us, our preference is we're fine watching. No, I mean, I'm not going to travel downtown with whenever the season starts again. I'll probably have a 1-year-old at the time, but right now my almost 8-month-old. I'm not rushing downtown, so preferences for us. I'm fine with no audience. I just mean from the idea that now they're actually talking about these 1/3 capacity games. That's where I wanted the conversation to go. But I mean, it just looks like they're going to have to do it, because there's just cause, or I guess it's more of a reaction to like what this other side or where the Trumpy voting parties are going insane, and it's not something that you want to just bow down to them, but I think they have to start thinking of plans to get people back out of their houses. And there's other countries that are reopening. So, and I think we're worse off with the most cases of COVID in the world right now. I think we beat Italy a few weeks ago, but there's still got to be that talk. There's still like, there was the, how do we shut everything down? What do we shut down? And now that they have shut pretty much everything down that they can, now the conversation starts to turn into what can we open back up. So I think they're, you know, they're going to be cutting it pretty close to when they get into that mold of when do we do, you know, when are people allowed to buy tickets again to these arenas and watch these things live? But you know, if we're talking about cutting things close, the only thing you can depend on is the Manscaped Lawnmower 3.0. Woo! Mike, my nuts have never had more air breezing between my thighs. You know, it really helps since January. I've done it. I've lost 40 pounds. So this is a triple XL jersey that I can now wear. I look like Doug Funny in that Think Big video. But anyway, I've got more space between my thighs and my bush is gone thanks to Lawnmower 3.0. It does feel wonderful. And I know one of the things you can't forget is all the lovely gifts that come with
oh my God,
your
that
lawnmower.
deodorizer?
Yeah.
I said it the last episode, and I'll say it again. My sweatpants balls have never smelled better. Like,
it does
buying
stick
these
around,
ones that are
though.
breezy, like I'm walking around, I'm getting sweaty, and then, you know, all this nylon just traps the heat.
Yeah.
Traps the heat, traps the smells, and, you know, sometimes I'll get up and, like, my pants will, poof, like, breathe, and then I'll get hit with my own nut funk. But no longer.
Yeah.
Nut funk is gone thanks to this great little bottle that they give you. I love that little package.
It sounds like you're saying
Nut funk?
Yeah. Well, don't say that.
I wasn't saying nut funk. I was saying nut funk.
Not during the ad, damn it.
I mean, we're selling ball trimmers here. I mean,
I don't know how often you say crisscross applesauce, but I do it a lot. You know, sitting on the ground now. So this is to have the deodorant wafting up instead of the funk, as you put it, is wonderful. Mike, it is the Lawnmower 3.0, and that's because the engineering team spent 18 months working past the 1.0 and the 2.0, perfecting the greatest ball hair trimmer ever created. This third-generation trimmer features cutting-edge ceramic blade to prevent manscaping accidents. Millions of balls are about to be nick-free thanks to the Lawnmower 3.0. And when I tell you, Mike, that this thing is premium, and when I tell the BOD hockey,
you don't have to tell me.
This thing is
I already have premium balls thanks to ours. I love mine. I'm waiting for this episode to end so I can go trim them again.
Yeah, I'm about ready to switch out the Lawnmower 3.0 I replace my beard trimmer with that thing because it does do a better cut.
I mean, it's my own hair. I don't care. Not that I ever grow anything, but right. I mean, if I ever grow a beard, I'll use it. Say I don't give a shit.
And we use the items that came with the trimmer, so we know we're clean.
It's quarantine right now, man.
Yeah,
the barbers are closed. I'm going to be cutting my own hair with this thing. I don't give a damn.
Mike, you've got the battery that lasts 90 minutes, so you can really take your time shaving. You've got the LED lights. You can make sure you can see everything where the sun don't shine. We've got the 7,000 RPM motor with the quiet stroke technology. Nothing like labeling something a quiet stroke technology down there. And let's not forget about that charging stand. Rapid charging dock powered by USB. If you are listening to me right now, you are one of the first people to hear about this. So you want to jump on board, get 20% off and free shipping when you use the promo code THPN at manscaped.com. Your balls are going to thank you. One more time, that's 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com, but you got to use promo code THPN. Get that Lawnmower 3.0 and support the Hockey Podcast Network. We appreciate it, everybody. Now, jumping back in, Mike, it is time to talk the 1999 NHL Draft. Man, oh man, this I want to read this because this will give everybody
a little context.
Last episode we talked about the 1998 NHL Draft. And I think there were a lot of teams that found success there, even if they were trading away guys. And we saw like the Canadians that had what knocked it out of the park with 6 picks that worked out in the 98 draft. Even though those guys didn't stick around with the Canadians, not everybody. You know, you figure they still benefit in some way down the line. If you
want to feel like your scouting department, even if you get rid of the guys, they're doing something right. You know, these guys are playing in the league. That was not the case in 1999. This was a bloodbath of ineptitude. We had a lot of players who it just petered out pretty quick.
Yep.
I think
so. The measurement was who played 82 NHL games, right?
This is rough. Yeah.
The best way to measure it, and this is me just taking a quick peek at Wikipedia, but it was 1998 draft. 23 players played at least 82 games, or played an 82 game season. I'm sorry, and then 21 players from the 2000 draft. In the 1999 draft, and again we're talking first round picks. Only 16 players played an 82 game season, which is just mind blowing. That's only 16. That's I mean, it's out of 28 picks, so we're not talking as big a draft as we do now, which is only the difference of 3 picks. Yeah. But I mean, that's almost half the guys did not work out in the first round. It's incredible. But this is where we want to go with this conversation. Is maybe this draft wasn't the best. And that's where we start talking about the Detroit Red Wings in this draft. So we don't have a first-round pick. And if you think about it...
We don't have a second-round pick.
Yeah, right. And if you think about it, this was the time not to have a first-round pick and to trade it and use it to get something better. Because nobody worked out in the 1990... All right, half the guys in the first round did not work out in the 1999 draft. And, of course, Mike, who did we trade for? I think... it's Chris Chelios.
But might have heard of him.
A guy who didn't just make an impact on the ice, but obviously a huge impact in the city where he opened
Chili's
Chili Bar. Yep.
That's where we had our 15 seconds of fame, Matt. I don't know if you remember that. We were interviewed for Steve Yzerman's retirement.
Yeah. That was
fun. The Fox Sports team was there. The Fox News sports team was there. And you got to see us crying our eyes out. And we were, 15, 16, something like that.
Right. So the first question I posed was, would the Red Wings hold on to this pick? And I think it's obviously
not even close.
No, like when you measure the impact, I mean, Chris Chelios wins 2 cups with the Wings by the time he's done with us, and then that relationship builds into this guy being a scout, and then we did end up drafting like his kid, so maybe that was a wasted draft pick. But
well, I mean, we're going to touch on it in a minute too, but I think anything you could do to get out of this draft, that was the ultimate goal. That's why I feel kind of bad. Matt, we had, we're going to talk about, I know you want to talk about Vancouver in a minute, because that was the most amazing thing I think has ever occurred in sports. Like the Michael Scott fancy financial footwork it took for him to, Brian Burke of Vancouver, to secure the Sedin twins.
Right.
I'm really excited for you to detail that. But just another note before we dive into them, just like the New York Islanders, Matt, had 3 top 10 picks. 3. So while the Sedin twins, that was like a once in a million shot. I can't even imagine like in this year's, like the 2020 NHL draft, somehow Yzerman finding a way to snag 3, not just first round picks, top 10 picks.
How about the Ottawa Senators might put themselves in their own Canucks situation where they'll have 2 in the top 3. So they'll be playing this New York Islanders game. Yeah.
Do you know, I just insane, man. I mean, like, it's baffling. And the Islanders kind of got, a couple bare butt spankings in these trades because they gave up like to the Kings, like Ziggy Palffy, who was really good. Brian Smolinski, who was really good. A couple guys who had some really excellent peak years. And then they did get Jokinen out of it, the Islanders at least. Olli Jokinen. And then, they drafted Taylor Pyatt, who he hit our criteria, like you were saying, playing the 82 games. But, that's one where, like the Red Wings getting Chelios. Red Wings easily won that trade. In this instance, again, the Kings easily won that trade. It was rough, man.
Well, yeah, to get back to the Chelios trade, the other question is, would the Blackhawks still make this trade? So there's, you were talking before we even started recording that there's always two parties in every trade, and we always we kind of forget that. But the Blackhawks end up getting Steve McCarthy and Adam Monroe, both guys that did not come anywhere near ranking as high points-wise or production-wise as
the Hall of Famer,
rest
Chris
of the
Jones.
draft. Yeah, the rest of the drafts actually would play out, is what I was going to say. So they could go back and pick the 23rd best guy, or throwing in goalies in 1999, or in 2001 picking the 29th best available player based on them knowing the points, and they would have done a better job than these two. But are you still picking up two guys that are equal value to Chris Chelios? And I think absolutely not. And especially when you talk about from like a marketing perspective, like these, we're going to talk about Brian Burke in a second here, and he understands the value of superstars. And it's never just the production on the ice, and I can't say it enough. And Chris Chelios did so much for this team, where I know people I went to high school with, that when there's special days for Chris Chelios, if there was like a fight he was involved in or like a special goal, they share it on social media because they still absolutely adore and love Chris Chelios. And it's just, the guy was cool, number one. One of the best American players of all time. And I don't know. He meant so much just to the city from just outside of that on ice perspective. I can't imagine that the Blackhawks would ever, just to get back to that question, would ever accept this trade and hand over a guy that was doing a lot for Chicago. Because Chris is back over there now, so he still loves that area, and he's still selling some chili in the Chicago area. But to trade away that marketing piece that we held on to for so long, giving him those jobs of being in scouting and
is somewhat of a rival. You know what I mean?
Right. I know, it's all around. Like if everybody gets to see the history books, or they get like the Marty McFly, what's going to happen in the future kind of thing. Yeah, I don't think the Blackhawks make this trade. There just is not enough there. You could say you're filling out, a fourth line, and I think you and I, Mike, know that people really fall in love with their fourth liners too because they're grinders. But God, that is nowhere near to what even Chris Chelios, being the journeyman he was in his career, whoever the fourth liners were, I don't think the impact that Chelios ended up having in the short amount of time he was here even comes close to comparing. But getting back to the value of superstars, Mike.
Yeah. Well,
talk
just
about,
real quick. The one thing I did want to touch on is when Chicago made that trade with Detroit. You're getting, what was that, two first-round picks out of Detroit for that?
Yeah. You
know what they were trading, Chicago? They were trading a 37-year-old man. Hold on. You're going to give me 2 first-round picks for a 37-year-old man. Okay, done. In a way, in a bubble, like if you were that Chicago GM again, you're like, he's fucking 37 years old. The Red Wings are going to get, one more year out of this guy?
Yeah,
and lo and behold, he ended up playing till he was 48. I mean, like a Gordie Howe kind of career where you're just, I'm going to die on the ice. I'm not retiring ever. So I think, honestly, there is a world where you could see Chicago making that trade again, because that's unprecedented. I mean, it is precedented, but in this day and age, to see like a 37-year-old dude getting that kind of return is pretty crazy, man.
But do you still want to hand over that huge marketing, coaching, scouting piece that Chelios ends up becoming to one of your rivals, your Midwest rival?
I gotta think, yeah, because you're not getting the player anymore. I mean, you gotta think a 37-year-old dude. I mean, he's doing all right. I mean, he's he's getting like high 30s, like 40 points. This wasn't like 70-point Chelios. This was half of that production. Half of that production for a 37-year-old guy. You're gonna give me 2 first round picks. I'm in. I get it. I mean, they got to think, okay, surely he's going to retire at 38. Okay, 39 probably. Okay, probably 40. 40. Damn it. I mean, like, when he was 39 in 2001, man, Jesus, Chelios played 24 games.
Nice.
He played 24 games at 3 points. So then I think even the Red Wings are like, okay, we might have screwed the pooch. 2 first-round picks for a 37-year-old guy. Now he's 39. Surely it's over after that. But no, man. He kept playing 40, 41, 40, man, at age 40. Man, at age 44, he played 81 effing games. He played 81 NHL hockey games. Man, he basically eclipsed what this 99 draft did for most of the first rounders.
Well, that's what makes this so interesting in these conversations is, like if you have all the information and we know teams are just going to draft the best guy available and the Red Wings trade away they know it's going to be late first-round picks because they know they're going to be competitive for the next few years. And the chances of them landing, Henrik Zetterberg, where they landed Henrik Zetterberg in this draft at 210, are like we talked about it for years. It was almost impossible to do this.
Yeah.
And they did it. But even to land guys in the first round later is like we said, you're basically flipping a coin. Is one guy going to actually make it through a season? And we're just talking a guy making it through an 82-game season. We're not even talking about being Henrik Zetterberg level. So I
do want to make one adjustment to your analogy. If only because you said flipping a coin, is a guy going to make it? Essentially what the Red Wings did in 1998 and 1999, they took a 272-sided dice, rolled it up, and twice got Hall of Famers. Out of a 272-sided dice, they won. Am I overdoing it a little bit? Because, you can put the Sedins in there. Okay, how about 100-sided dice? They did it 2 years in a row and got Hall of Famers.
I'm just saying strictly from the decision-making standpoint of the Red Wings to saying, would they still make that trade for Chris Chelios?
Yeah.
And knowing everything, I would still argue that they would still make it. But yeah, let's talk about Zetterberg and rolling that 200.
Absolutely. I mean, there's
sided die.
I don't know what the magic elixir was for Chris Chelios to justify that trade, because you could honestly, there's some worlds where you could see that trade getting somebody fired.
Yeah.
What are you doing trading for a guy who's I think at the time he was older than our dad, who made the 2 of us, and this guy's just going to keep playing and playing and playing. But yeah, I mean, the Red Wings here with 1998, 99, it's tough, man, because you want to credit them for their scouting department, but it's not like they took Zetterberg. Whoa, Red Wings trade up into the second round and take Henrik Zetterberg. No, he was drafted 210th. What was there 3-4 picks before Zetterberg that the Red Wings thought they were going to hit on, and they just. It's not like they had an ace up the sleeve in Zetterberg. Nobody's going to see this coming. They took Yari Tulsa, Andrei Maximenko, Kent McDonald. If you've never heard of those guys, neither have I up to a few minutes ago. Again, what a crapshoot the NHL draft seems to be. I mean, even the Red Wings who hit 2 years in a row, there's no way they had the foresight. But by God, man, if you put them back to back to back, they had the foresight. Somehow they lucked into Datsuk, 98. They lucked into Zetterberg. They lucked into Chris Chelios playing until he's almost 50 fucking years old. You talk about puck luck in the NHL. My God, the Red Wings just won every roulette table in Vegas for 3 to 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 fucking years in a row. Incredible stuff.
I think lucking into you get the Zetterberg, Zadatsu, Chelios actually working out, but then you can make your own goddamn luck, Mike. That's what
Billy Zane and Titanic in this one. Let me tell
Brian
you.
Burke he's famous for his like we mentioned before, his value of the high profile players. He plays that game. Like, what are you going to be able to market? Mike, you're going to be able to market a twin line consisting of Henrik and Daniel Sedin, which I don't know if there's anything in sports that paid off as well besides not winning a Stanley Cup. But you got to figure filling seats, having your first line for years. I mean, it's just paid off in spades to work around this, trading around picks, getting some handshake deals.
This was like the ultimate, just like Rube Goldberg lining up of all these little trinkets in the background that eventually ended up to the Sedin twins being on the same team in the same year in the same draft, drafted second and third.
So they have this amazing performance in the IHF World Championship, and that again goes back to why it was so important that Alexis Lafreniere, or everybody gets a chance to see him again. It'll never stop being important around the time that it is there, because everybody wants to make those final judgments, and then that's when Berkey got excited. And he began. So what do we have here? He began by complimenting his existing third overall pick by trading defenseman Brian McCabe and Vancouver's first round pick in the 2000 draft, used to select Pavel Vorobyev, to the Chicago Blackhawks for their fourth overall pick. Then he gets the first overall pick from Tampa Bay, flipping Chicago's fourth. And then the Lightning then traded with the Rangers. But now that they give 2 third-round selections to make sure that goes down. So they're the fourth pick from the Blackhawks, 2 thirds. Now they have the first overall pick. Vancouver and Atlanta then worked out a handshake deal where Atlanta agreed to take Patrick Stefan, and then they get the first overall pick, which is such a weird, like, they're in the top 3. It would have happened. Like, I don't know why, but then Vancouver gets to pick up both Sedins at second and third. And arguably, this is the way it had to be done. Who knows how their careers would have turned out if they weren't playing together? Who knows if one helped elevate the other, kind of thing. But yeah, this is just nuts. And to think it all worked out because of a handshake deal with the Thrashers, where they could have said, "No, we're going to take the Sedins. You can have them, but you got to give us everything, man. You got to give us another first round pick. If we're passing on a guy that could possibly change our just the trajectory of this organization for years, almost 2 decades, if they knew everything going down, why would we ever agree to just do a handshake deal?" And of course, hindsight being 2020, we know that they completely got boned on this because Patrick Stefan was a bust, especially at the first pick. So, Mike, this is nuts. And you and I struggled to think of something that would have equal this. So anybody who's not completely familiar with how this went down, and to know that it finished with, like, I always joke around that the NHL has, like, this good old boys mentality, but this is it. This is that good old boys, like, hey, you're okay with this? All right, I'm okay with it. All right, let's do it. Like,
yeah.
And then they screw themselves. But go ahead.
I know you made that connection with Ottawa, this year, probably having the second, third pick, or probably the first, second pick.
That's probably what's going to happen.
But this is such an insane thing to do, where, like, it's not like this draft was just loaded, where people were just, flying over themselves, to get into the first round here. That's how you have an instance where, the freaking Islanders have 3, top picks in the first round. People aren't dying to get into this draft. You know what I mean? So
right.
It's just insane that people would, look and be like, okay, there's only like 2 or 3 guys even worth drafting here at the top. What are we getting out of this draft for? And it's just like people were okay with this happening. As far as connecting it to other sports, I mean, as far as just like baffling trades that other teams allowed to happen, but I don't know, maybe Eli Manning getting out of San Diego. I don't know why he didn't want to play in California and he wanted to freeze his nuts off in New York, for 15, 20, years that he's playing.
Yeah.
I know the Phoenix Suns made a few moves. They could get both because the Pistons had both Morris twins at different times. And that ultimately didn't quite pan out. This is just such a unique situation. And it's so cute. It's we're gonna get both these brothers. They're getting drafted at the top. And then that handshake deal for the Thrashers, I also love because I like to think that, Atlanta said, listen, we promise we're going to draft a guy who's not very good. We promise. And I know it took a few moves there, but it's almost like Atlanta should have drafted one Sedin just to get a little bit extra.
Yeah.
Just a little extra. What are you going to do? You're not going to trade with me in the future? Doesn't matter. So I'm putting you over a barrel right now. You're going to give me everything you got. Everything.
That's it right there. It's kind of like, I kind of see it as if I was a GM, how it would go down. Because I'd be like, oh, yeah, you want to, of course. No, you can do that. That's fine. It's like, if I'm I don't even need to compare it. I'm that guy that would just kind of agree to this, and I'd be like, yeah, because we'll be friends later, right? We'll be trade partners later, and I don't know if the Thrashers were putting together that they're going to be moving if this didn't work out, and how terrible of it. Think about agreeing to a handshake deal and knowing that you just completely boned the rest of the. It's almost like ruining the existence of what would be the Atlanta Thrashers, and of course moving on. But just because you agreed with Brian Burke just to let him have his way, you don't get a first pick very often, or a pick even in the top 3. And to know it just was completely ruined by I don't know. We could just keep talking about this, but I think we got to talk about just awarding Brian Burke the overall winning of this draft, and then we can jump into redrafting the top 10.
Yeah. All right.
And we'll have some fun with that too.
You want to jump in?
Brian Burke being the winner. Boom. And then
clear-cut winner easily of this draft, man.
Yeah.
I don't think. I mean, even Ottawa. Again, there's just no way, because Brian Burke, it was so orchestrated what he was doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Ottawa is still taking some risk because, depending on where the lottery falls, pieces could kind of tumble where they may. Brian was getting guaranteed slot selection with these guys, and everybody knew what he was doing. And when you have that, that's why all these GMs keep it a secret what their plans are. When you hear these interviews, what are the Red Wings going to do in this year's draft? We got a lot of scouts, got a lot of guys on our board. That's why these boards are hidden. Brian Burke, everybody knew what he was doing, that he's getting the Sedin twins. Everybody could have given him a bare butt spanking and just asked the world for him because he wanted to make he was so fucking dedicated to making this plan happen. And it just seems like, man, if you hear, a best friend handshake deal in the back, that's the NHL is just a totally different animal, at least for this year.
Yeah.
For him to know that his draft board was literally 2 guys circled, and honestly, it could have just been one name circled because they had the same last name, and everybody just, you know what? Let's give it to him. I don't want to, I don't want your house. Give me a bag of Cheetos. It wasn't anything over the top. It didn't mortgage the entire future of the Canucks. They were a very competitive team with one of the best first lines going forward for years because of the chemistry of these Sedin twins, Matt. If we want to not be just Brian there, I guess you can put the Islanders up there. I know they didn't get, related Hall of Famers like Vancouver did.
Yeah.
But they still got some use value out of their draft picks there. I mean, they were serviceable guys who all played, a couple hundred games. The Tim Connollys of the world, because we kind of had to, kind of sort through some of these pieces here to see the, United States contributions to the National Hockey League.
Yeah.
You had Taylor Pyatt, who, again, another serviceable player. And then Branislav Metzi, a defenseman who, he's the third of the three. We'll say that. But the Islanders did have, God, I thought I had that pulled up for you, man. I apologize. But they had, 6 guys hit where they, we talked about how rough this year was for getting guys to actually contribute, play that 82-game season. Get this up for you. Sorry, bud. 2, 3, 4. Yeah. 5, 6. Woo. Yeah. They had a ton of those guys this year, Matt. Connolly, Pyatt. They had a Matthias Windhandle. You're never going to forget that name. But I did want to throw in one more nugget here, Matt, because they were able to trade one of our favorite players. The Islanders, I think they butchered one move in 1999, and that's when they acquired a 5th-round pick who ended up being Adam Johnson, mostly anonymous. They gave up on Yuri Depita, which was heartbreaking. He was the 29-year-old selected ahead of Pavel Datsyuk, a 29-year-old selected in the draft in 1998. So they gave up on him after a year. Heartbreaking move for the Islanders. They deserve to be cursed. They deserve to never win a Lord Stanley Cup for giving up on Yuri Depita, who's only 30 years old. Because as we learned, some defensemen will play into their late 40s, man. So I think they made a bad move there.
So are we jumping into changing the draft?
Let's do it. I'm taking the first pick. You took the first pick last year. I wanted you to have Pavel. Matt, if we're redrafting the NHL of 1999, there's only one player as an Atlanta Thrasher GM that I want to take. You know who that is? It's Henrik fucking Sedin. Because I'm putting those Canucks over a barrel, and I'm not just letting them get away with this. I'm getting even more draft capital from those guys. And maybe he does end up being a Canuck. Maybe they do give me just a mortgage-free mansion. I don't know what I'm getting out of this, but I'm breaking up those Sedin twins because I'm not letting this happen. I'm putting my dick on the table, and I'm saying, Canucks, suck it. You give me everything you got if you want to put these Sedin twins together. Because what we ended up doing, that gentleman's agreement, that is not what's happening. I'm not going to be in the record books for letting that happen. I'm going to be in the record books for taking control, all right? I'm going to be the GM that ran the Thrashers and just, again, bare butt spanked those Canucks. That's what I'm doing.
I went ahead and took a peek because I think what you'd have to do, so now I'm the Vancouver Canucks at 2 and 3. And I need which Sedin did you say you're taking?
I'm taking Henrik. He had the slightly longer career because he just missed a few less games due to injury than his brother. So I'm taking Henrik.
As Brian Burke, I just got thrown over a barrel, but I wanted those Sedins. So at number 2 and number 3, I'm still gonna find a way to make this work. So I'll trade with you. I'll give you the 3rd pick now. And Henrik's already drafted. But I'm going to give you Marcus Naslund and Todd Bertuzzi because I need these Sedins. I know that I have some talent here with Naslund and Bertuzzi, but I need this to work out. I need my future. I need my superstars. I need this marketable twin setup. So I'm doing it. And then if I have to go with another first pick in 2000 because my team sucks, that's okay. We're gonna do this. So I'm gonna offer you Marcus Naslund and Todd Bertuzzi so that I can get Henrik back, and then I'm taking Daniel Sedin at number 2, and then Mike, you
talk about some shrewd maneuvers here by the Atlanta Thrashers. My God.
So now they're ready. Now they have pick number 3, Mike. And
Naslund, Bertuzzi, and to really fill out that line, Matt, we're taking former Red Wing now. Former pick number 210. Welcome aboard to Atlanta, where the ice is never frozen. We got slushies just for you, Henrik Zetterberg. say goodbye to the Iceland known as Sweden. Welcome.
Just remember, he's probably not going to be playing. I mean, the Thrashers might bring him up a little bit quicker than the Wings did, but
we're bringing him up.
He might not be playing a couple. Yeah, he might not be playing a couple of years though. So
we're not getting the hot bearded Jake Gyllenhaal Zetterberg. We're getting babyface Zetterberg. He's playing game one. All right, we're punching up those stats. He's played on our fourth line from day one because he's sandwiched with Naslund and Bertuzzi. Man, the Thrashers are ready to rock and roll. We're taking the NHL by storm. All right, we're not petering out these draft picks for the first couple years. We're ready to rock. Game one.
In the 1999 draft, this means that the first 3 selections are all from Sweden.
Boom.
Those are the 3 best guys.
And they should be.
Yep.
And you know what? The Thrashers had their mitts on 2 of them because we know how to swindle the NHL. All right, we're not doing this goddamn back alley butt turd draft, whatever this was for real in '99. We're taking the NHL by storm. Yeah.
So the 4th pick goes back to me, and I've got the Rangers, and they went with the right winger. And if we take a look at how the draft shook out, the Colorado Avalanche at 212 end up taking Radim Vrbata, and he ends up being the 4th best guy taken out of this draft. So I'm going to go ahead since the position matches up, and we're going to have a guy that's going to do a lot better than 78 total games played. Radim Vrbata heads on over to the New York Rangers.
I like it a lot, man. I like it a lot. I think it makes a lot of sense. I'm on board. Matt, we move on to number 5. And like you said, I think it does help to have some positional consistency. And you want to get a good player. You know, you're redrafting all of 1999. You get your choice of anybody on the board. But I don't think the Islanders really missed with the 5th pick. They picked Tim Connolly. He was never like a super duper world beater. I mean, he had a couple years where he had like votes for like the Lady Byng and the Selke. He wasn't close to winning. He was also buried a little bit in the Rookie of the Year voting. But I'm still going to take him. He had a serviceable career. Obviously, the Islanders didn't keep him for very long. He got to go play with somebody, I think the only goalie we might end up taking today, Matt, because he played in Buffalo for a bit. So he did get to hang out with Ryan Miller. He's a solid piece. You know, he maxed out at about 65 points, about a 40-50 point a season guy. I think he's fine. I think, you know, there wasn't a ton of super duper stars. I think we already got those out of the way for Atlanta.
Yeah. No, you did good. Don't worry about it.
Also, he's probably the best American picked.
Well, here's that argument right now. I think Ryan Miller would be the best American that was taken, and it's going. Here's the game we're playing. We're going positionally, and the Nashville Predators wanted a goalie, so I'm going to go ahead and take Ryan Miller. But arguably, if you took a look at this, Ryan Miller, you know, bounced around the league quite a bit near the tail end of his career. But is this what could you be making a difference for your team for years to come with a guy with a .915 career save percentage? You know, do you take that in the top 3? Should the Thrashers have gone in that direction? Because that always seemed to be an issue with the Thrashers. If they knew, man, we're going to suck without goaltending, should we have done that? But I'll say, at least for the sake of moving on, the Nashville Predators are going to take Ryan Miller here at number 6. So they still get their goalie, and they're going to get a lot better production than Brian Finley, who, not a household name.
Well, we move on, man. We move on to number 7. It's the Washington Capitals. They initially selected Chris Beach, who was not a complete donut in the National Hockey League, but you know, nothing special, nothing you hang up a banner for. I think what I'm going to have my Capitals do here, they go ahead and they pillage the hard work done by the New York Islanders here, and they take Taylor Pyatt right off their hands. They don't let Islanders get 2 of the more serviceable guys out of this draft. I think Capitals upgrade here. They go from a guy who played about 100 games to a guy who, my God, played about 15 years in the National Hockey League. Again, another guy, there was not a lot of superstars in this league, in this draft, my apologies. Taylor just had a long career. It wasn't like full of, accolades. But, a serviceable defensive forward here. And Matt, 1 year, he was getting some Lady Bing votes, but it was one of Datsuk's years. So, I mean, how gentlemanly can you be when the competition is Pavel Datsuk in 2012? So, no faults of his. Matt, you have the 8th pick.
All right. Let's play this game real quick here.
So this is you're taking the Islanders' second pick of the top 10 here.
And let's see, we've got pick number 8 and number 10. So I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna let the Rangers pick number 8. And then I want Peter Nedved and Therian Fleury. No way. They wouldn't give that up. There's no way.
Not in this draft.
Let's at least get Peter Nedved, and then they can pick 8th, and then we'll drop and do 9 and 10. So then I don't know if that would actually ever go down. You take one of their best guys. I'm making a trade. So now the Islanders are a little bit better. Now they've got Tim Connolly. They've got Peter Nedved. So now they've got a couple of centers to help this team out, and they're moving to number 9. So then the Rangers will take Taylor Pyatt.
He just got picked.
Oh, I'm sorry.
He's actually going to play for the Capitals, man. I don't know how much wheeling and dealing you're overdoing.
I had this all planned out, and I kind of ignored you. I'm sorry. All right. I tell you what. Let's go with Martin Havlat. We'll do that. We'll jump back up on the list here. I'll just order it by points, and I'll go that direction. That's probably a better pick anyway.
Sounds good, Nate.
All right. So now you've got. You can wrap it up actually if you want with the 9 and 10 and the Islanders.
I'm taking. I'm ready to go with that. I think with my beloved Islanders here. Number 9. I'm taking one of my favorite names in NHL history. It always made me laugh, and I always made a little cheese-eating face, and that's Mr. Erad himself, Martin Erad. Left-handed guy, played like 15 years in the National Hockey League. Again, another dude who, wasn't full of accolades, but, he had a pretty good stretch run. His peak years were 03 through about 2010. That's a pretty long time there, where he was getting, 50 points, 48 points, 57 was his high. My apologies. See, you can't really be upset about a serviceable guy like that. And the 10th pick, I'm going to say, because Islanders, we're going to need to get that defense up a little bit. We're going to pick the Rookie of the Year there, man. My boy, Barrett Jackman. I know you want to call him Jackman. A lot of people do, but I'm calling him the Jackman. He definitely peaked at his rookie year and, kind of trickled down a little bit after that. But he did have that one excellent year for the Blues.
Marketing perspective.
Yeah.
Sell some jerseys.
Yeah, the Jackman. So we're putting a little hyphen in between. I think outside of that, he had a pretty strong plus-minus for his career, the Jackman, especially because the dudes ahead of him from 1999, Hall of Famer, and then Havlat, who, had another good career. But the Jackman, you got almost 900 games out of him. When he finished a plus 54, pretty solid. I'm happy with that pick. The only other thing that I wanted to do, Matt, is out of this draft, the one wild card I wanted to do, because, we had the 29-year-old Yuri the year before. This was the draft that had Mike Commodore. Commodore 64. God bless his heart. Excellent number for a jersey.
Which he never did. He was a
wasted opportunity, so
yeah.
we had to pine for it. We just had to pine for it there in 99.
Yeah, there was that. I hate that story because people were donating to a charity, I think, to get him to do it, and then he still didn't do it.
So one of the great missed opportunities. One was obviously the Atlanta Thrashers not drafting a Sedin just to fuck over Vancouver, and then Mike Commodore refusing to listen to charities and change to number 64. So two huge. I don't know which one was a bigger missed opportunity. Matt, line change question here: Commodore 64 or the Atlanta Thrashers?
Who am I taking, or do I get a Commodore
which
64,
one was the
or am I a fan of the
which
Atlanta
one was
Thrashers?
Which one was the bigger missed opportunity?
I mean, obviously Commodore 64.
I don't even know why I asked. It was a silly question.
The Thrashers proved moving forward that there's just this. It was not going to work out.
No.
There's a reason that the Flames moved over to Calgary eventually. So it's just Atlanta's. It's not a hockey town. So thank you from the Hockey Town Brothers. That's what we should have been called. The Brothers of Discussion. And thanks for listening to episode 55. Kind of a landmark, right? Every time you hit a multiple of 5. Anyway, you can find us at BOD Hockey on Twitter. You can find us on YouTube as the Brothers of Discussion. Find us on Instagram as brothers_of_discussion. So you can watch these videos if you're listening to the podcast right now. And of course, podcast everywhere you listen to podcasts. We are available there. So go ahead, just search the Discussion 5 to keep, I don't know, I guess if you're switching which platform you're listening to the podcast right now. But if you could subscribe, rate, and review, it does us a lot of good and helps the show moving forward. And don't forget, head on over to Manscaped. Use that code THPN to get the 20% off and free shipping on the Lawnmower 3.0. All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Toodles.